Hello there, and welcome all you proud weirdos. This is your buddy Dave over at MarsX3D, and this is our live hang number 18. Well, I think I got things working just under the wire. Oh my gosh, that was a squeaker. Anyway, I won't bore you with the details, but I got the sucker working. So, very nice to see you all, to see Don and to see Alan. And boy, have we got some cool things happening tonight. Now, some of you may have seen the channel and noticed that we're doing a interview with Jimmy Roberts. It's going up Friday morning at midnight. And it was a lot of fun. You'll get a chance to get to know Jimmy a little bit better, some of his background, some of his personal things. And although we couldn't get Missy to make a camera appearance, more's the shame. One of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, but that's beside the point. And we have some fantastic anomalies that we're going to be sharing. We're going to be looking again at the Guffey UFO, the 3D image that was acquired in Guffey, Colorado. That's in the interview. And there are a number of other things that new developments and images and things like that. So if you do get a chance to watch it, I think you will enjoy it. And yeah, Don, that's what I did. I turned everything off and turned it on again, and it kind of rebooted. So I wish I could do that with myself. We won't go there. So we have some very, very interesting developments here tonight. As you can see, if you're reading the comments, Allan Walker at Mars' Second Genesis, who is a longtime expert in Photoshop, has begun to recognize and back engineer the filters, the luminance, the various levels of obfuscation that NASA is putting on its images. Excuse me. We've known about this for a long time. And in particular, Chris Maroney over at Mars Anomalies and Beyond has been a stalwart in revealing those things which are hidden behind NASA's, let's just call them a curtain. They put curtains over everything. But what Allan has done is very painstakingly figured out what they're doing and has reverse engineered it and begun removing things layer by layer until we get down to what's actually there. So you're going to see some things tonight that I think will blow your mind. And if indeed this process is legitimate, and I believe that it is, but I'm not sure how to verify that. I'm not sure whose second opinion we should seek and how we validate what Allan is finding. Nevertheless, what we've found, if it was random, if it was a random process, if it was just an imaginary thing that Allan thought he was doing, we wouldn't find the non-fractal structures and the amazing anomalies that are popping out like they are. We'd probably just have a random series of dots, a gray mist, TV static, as it were. So I'm thinking this is a real deal. Let me look over your comments real quick. Hey, Raymond is here. Raymond Glassford. Raymond, be patient with me. And I'm not going to share all the details, but I have been busier than a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I mean, and I got to be gone for 3 days and then 3 days next week. And I'm doing all kinds of stuff and getting ready for a little medical procedure here at the end of the month. Nothing serious. And so it's terribly busy. But Raymond has sent me some great anomalies. Raymond, I promise I'll be taking a serious close look at those and get them into the production pipeline, as it were. And let's see what else we got to say. Ricardo made it. It's always about the food. Yes, it is, my friend. It's always about the food. And if it's not strawberry Twizzlers, it's something else, like a medium rare ribeye steak, pan-seared and oven-roasted. And, oh, yes, indeed. Well, in any case, hey, Tony made it. Hey, Tony. Great to have you along with all the other misfits and proud weirdos. And so I finally got that camera situation straightened out. I had gotten what's called a center cam. It sits in the middle of your screen. And it's supposed to be a lot better for eye contact. But you know what? It was just crappy. And, you know, I looked at some of the video from last week and just, nah, it was too harsh. I don't know. I'm done with it. I'm back to my Logitech webcam, and it's fine. But I did get me a proper screen, a better screen, and some lighting umbrellas and all that. So I'm feeling a little bit more professional. Hey, Rusty. Did you know that Rusty never sleeps? Good to see you, my friend. Glad you're aboard. And okay, let me kind of dive into some of the things that we're looking at. And we'll start by sharing what many of us are familiar with seeing. This is a section of a panorama, one that Allan stitched together, 15 panels. It's like a couple of gigs. It's a huge image. This is just a little piece of it. But now, here's what I want you to do. Look closely at this image, and then I'm going to go to the stripped down version with all the garbage removed on the count of 3, 2, 1. That, my friends, is what is actually there. That is what is behind all these little semi-transparent and layers of luminance and cutting and pasting, and we're going to see some real clear examples. Let's go back to that so you can see it again. And now that I look at it after looking at Allan's work, I'm beginning to see how everything is kind of transparent and kind of layered looking. Now, God bless him, Chris Maroney has known this forever. Hey, Martin Wolfright, thank you for coming along. Great to see you, and Planetary Protector. How are you, my friend? It's great to have you on board. So again, if you just walked in the room, take a look at this. This is a typical Percy Sol 128 section of a stitch that Allan did. And now as you watch it, I'm going to switch over. 3, 2, 1. That is what is actually there. So that's, to me, that's amazing. And as I've mentioned before, I feel very confident that Allan's methods are accurate and legitimate. We need to find some way to get some kind of second or third opinion, which is tough because most so-called image scientists who are deeply familiar with Photoshop will poo-poo it, I'm sure, just out of hand, just like they do Mars anomalies in general. They just poo-poo it. They refuse to even look at the image. Images or at the evidence. I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine is Dr. Carl Baugh. Now, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but Dr. Baugh is a creationist, as am I, in my own version. And what Dr. Baugh has been doing, he lives along the Paluxy River near Glen Rose, Texas. And he has been excavating there for many, many years. And he has excavated a great number of what are called coterminous dinosaur/human footprints, all running for their lives in the Cretaceous mud. Now, this is evolutionarily dated at 500 million years ago. And he and Dr. Willie Dye, one of the smartest men I've ever met, Dr. Willie, as we call him, is a real slacker. He only has 6 PhDs. And he's one of the foremost biblical archaeologists in the world. But they had removed several tons of what's called overburden. It's just dirt and rocks and stuff. And to get down to the Cretaceous fossilized layer. Now, we know that in the Paluxy River, and you can Google it, it's spelled Paluxy, Paluxy River. Dinosaur park there, and you can go and you can see incredible dinosaur footprints in the creek water. And but in excavating around there, they've found giant human footprints and handprints existing within and sometimes across large dinosaur footprints. Well, long story short, they had excavated a beautiful sauropod print with about a 24-inch human footprint on the inside, barefoot. And of course, they were running, and they had unearthed several hundred feet of these tracks, moving tons and tons and tons of overburden. And but they had one incredibly beautiful print that showed the giant human footprint inside the giant sauropod footprint. And they invited a geologist down, or rather a paleontologist down from the University of Houston, to come and look at it and offer his opinion. And you know what he did? He came down, sure enough, made an appointment, walked down to the excavation site, and then he turned his back so that he wouldn't see the evidence, so that he could go back and report that he saw no evidence whatsoever to support their find. This is what we're dealing with in modern day science, with quotes around it. People who refuse to look at the evidence. And that's where I split off. Now, I'm not a scientist. I don't have any degrees. I'm just a schlub like most of you. But you know, it seems to me if you just look at the evidence, most of us are adult enough to make up our own minds and say, is this garbage, or is there something here? Well, I'm going to show you a few things tonight. And we're going to go back to that. There we go. Go back. If I can find it. Oh, Dave's working hard, folks. Dave's working hard. You know, I wish I'd been born 30 years later, because I'd understand all this stuff, wouldn't I? I would absolutely understand it. And, but it's real clear that I don't. So we're going to start with this image of Allan's, where he's stripped away, like the overburden that was stripped away, he stripped away all of the garbage that they put on top of it. And thank you, Don, for your nice remark. And Ricardo, I'm sorry I can't put the images side by side for you. That's I have to go in, reformat it, relink it up, and I can't pull that off. But here's what I can do. There's the original, the one we get on the servers. And then here's the same image with all the stuff stripped away. And Ricardo, you are correct. He says he doesn't believe that they've dated many things accurately at all. They assume it's all based on depth, which is a misunderstanding how vitrification and fossilization can occur. You're absolutely spot on correct. And by the way, at some point I may do a live hang if I can figure out how to make the monitor work and all that stuff, on how to process X3D so you guys can do it. It's not hard. It's really quite easy. Anyway, here we are looking at everything stripped away. And by the way, Ricardo, yeah, the various dating methods they have, they're all saying carbon-14 and different methods of radiocarbon dating, and they're wildly inaccurate. And so what they do is they date fossils according to where they occur in the fictional fossil column. And they say this column is 500. This fossil is 500 million years old. And well, why is it 500 million years old? Well, because it's in the column where 500 million years is. Really? Well, then how do you know it's 500 million years old? There are other fossils around it that aren't. Anyway, okay, enough talk, Dave. So here's our first image. This is, I isolated some various things, and this is an X3D, of course, and I hope you're viewing it that way. And as you're looking at it in X3D, I'm going to transition now to what's actually there. Take a look at this. That looks a little different, doesn't it? That triangle in that cube. They don't really look like rocks so much anymore, do they? Let's go back. There's that triangle and that square piece. And here it is. I mean, what is going on here? Why are those rocks arranged in a square? Why does the triangle have those nodules on it? What's that thing to the right of it with two spheres? The square and back. I mean, okay, this is fairly mild. Yes, you're right, Ricardo. It's stratification dating, and it is indeed circular reasoning. Okay, let's look at something else now. If I can find it. Okay, here's another one in X3D. And as you look at that, I don't know about you, but if I was looking at this, I'd think, there's nothing much going on there, is there? Now we're going to pull back all the layers that they put on there. And just look at this stuff, will you? Look in the dead center of the screen. You see that thing with the arch on it? And that long curved up piece to the left. That's great, Ricardo. I like full screen X3D. I love being able to see details. Yeah, this is crazy, Don. Look at all the stuff in here. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to confess this. I worked like crazy today to get these 2 dozen or so that I'm going to share with you ready. These have not been composited. They're only about 3/5 of the way done. I haven't isolated all the anomalies that are in there. I haven't marked them up so you can see them really easily. I didn't finish my homework. Okay. So here's another one. Again, that doesn't really trip my trigger. I mean, I see that little bit of a triangle over on the left on that boulder. Or not triangle, but a rectangle. And that's about all that really catches my eye. But now let's strip away everything. And now, to my eyes, that entire boulder looks like a crushed piece of machinery. Look at all the squares, right angles, and pieces that look mechanical. But now also look in the lower left-hand corner. See the big white stone there? Now, just above that, in the middle of that white stone, is a roundish black stone. And we're going to zoom in on that. What does that look like to you? Because I'll tell you what, I don't know what it is. Now some people are going to say, oh, it's a UFO with a little man inside of it. Yeah, I don't think so. But you know, it's got that square top, that square opening, and those knobs. And I'm not sure what to make of this, except to say it isn't what we think it is. Let's take a look at another one. Now again, as we take a look at this, if you have Chris Maroney eyes, you might be able to see very faintly some of the right angles hidden under that bluish and orangish luminance layer that they put there. And here we go, stripping it away. Is that crazy or what? Look at those two right angles in the sand. What's that all about? Is that natural? Is that a wall? Is it a foundation of something? And look at those other things. Particularly the lower left corner. Now we're going to close up on that one in a minute. And then you go catty corner across from it. There's another something or other near the right-hand corner. And then if you go at about the 10 o'clock position for that one, it's pointing right at it. There's another strange-looking object. Now, trust me, there are a whole bunch more in here. But as I say, I haven't finished all the work that I want to do on these yet. This is a work in progress. So let's zero in on that one in the lower left-hand corner. That, my friends, is not a rock. In fact, it kind of reminds me of a jet engine with a big chunk missing out of the side. Is that what it is? No, probably not. But I can tell you this. That is not a rock, is it? You can see, just like I can. And then remember that one in the upper right-hand corner? Look at that. What is that? I don't know. Is it a rock? No, I don't think so. Look at the left-hand side of it. The upper left-hand side. See the two circles like eyes? Then you've got that cross piece on the right hand. Right angles on top. You know, to me, that looks like a machine. And then remember that little piece of something? Hey, Ian! Another proud weirdo. I did not hear your quarter clink in the can by the door, sir. And that means no Twizzlers for you. Okay, let's go up to that other little bump that was in the left-hand corner. Now look at that. That's not a rock. That's a cube. It's got almost a screen on the left side. Two white dots at the bottom. Three knobs across the front corner, or front top corner. And some business on top and some other stuff behind. And go over to about 4 o'clock from that cube. There's another odd little bit of something there. I don't know what that is. But it's mighty strange, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to give your eyes a little break for a moment. And, you know, it's always a break to have a look at me. I mean, really, the beauty is back on duty. So soak it up, boys and girls. It's a wonderful thing and a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I'm being silly, of course. That's a large part of my persona nowadays. You know, the older you get, the sillier you get, because everything gets funny. Everything is humorous now, to me. I spend most of my days chuckling at things that people do and things that people say. I don't even get mad hardly anymore. Even when people are rude in traffic or whatever. I just kind of just very highly entertained. by everything. So I guess maybe I'm at that point where I'm losing it. But I'm going to go down here, and now that your eyes have a little bit of a rest, and let me see what I can find out here. Okay, there's something. Now here's another one. Are you ready? And if you're late coming in, this is a new process by Allan that strips away all the layers. And as you look at this, I mean, it's a very nice landscape, and you can see the mountains curving up in the distance, and it's all good. But I don't really see anything there. Do you? I mean, there's kind of that U-shaped thing right in the center of the picture. But that's sand, isn't it? Not so much. That's a building. That, my friends, is a building. And we're going to zoom in on it a little bit. Now, it's a building in ruins. But take a look at this. Is that a natural structure? Well, look on the right end, right side. A 90-degree wall comes out and turns towards us. And then there's that semicircular building on the left, backed up against a large wall. And of course, there's more stuff in these images. I'm aware of that. I mean, there are lots of anomalies in here. I haven't finished mining these things yet. These are just like the first pass. And you know what? There are other things in this picture. Now, I took the time, because of the live hang tonight, to go in and isolate a couple things. Like this. That's just a little thing, but look at that. Now I've highlighted it so you can see right exactly where it is. And I'm going to double check something real quick here. Yeah. Okay. This is a slightly different format, but this is the same thing. Now that you can see this, I'll show it to you without the color on it. So that's a nice, neat little square with two little darker squares on the front and a dome on top. Okay. Alrighty. Here's another little thing in that same first picture I showed you. Kind of this round device. Pretty cool, huh? But here it is without the shading on it, so you can see more of the details. It appears to have a hub in the center. So I really don't know what that's all about. Okay, here's another one. Now, typically I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, Gentry is aboard. Hello, my friend. Think about what all the corrupt government knows and what they can see. Well, that's a very considerable amount of material, my friend. There's an old phrase from the Word that says they suppress the truth in unrighteousness. What does that mean? That means exactly what it says. For those who speak English, they hide the truth because they're unrighteous people. They don't trust people to make their own decisions. So anyway, we're looking at this. And yeah, Don, that little round guy sure did kind of look like a security camera, didn't it? Okay, While you're eyeballing this one, we're going to do the transition to strip down in 3, 2, 1. Wow, what a difference. Now, you may not see it right away. It may not be obvious to you, so I'm going to zoom in on it. I'll give you a clue. It's almost exactly in the center of the image, and there are a ton of anomalies here. But the one I'm interested in is right in the center. It's this one. What in the world? Almost looks like a submarine or something with a porthole in the side. And it's got a nice square awning right over it. Now that your eyes have acclimated, seeing where it is with the green, let me pull the color out. And it really does look to have a metallic shine to it, doesn't it? And as you look around that image, just like me, you can see just a whole bunch of stuff that's very, very strange. And we're not even to the really good stuff yet. Here's another one. Again, pretty unremarkable in my book. And if I was looking at a gigapan and ran across this, I'd shrug my shoulders and keep moving. And the reason being is that I'm looking for non-fractals, the mathematics of intelligence agency, and I don't see anything here. That's what arrests my eye. And those are the things that they have trouble hiding, as a matter of fact. But take a good look at this one. Get your eyes all focused in on this one, because I'm going to transition in 3, 2, 1. A different story. Those look like roads to me. In fact, I'll highlight them for you. Take a look at this. Why are those lines so arrow straight? Why are there 90-degree turns? And what's in back there? Is that a little cluster of buildings? And I don't know if you've seen it yet, but if you split the image right down the middle and then go about halfway across, there's a great big square building sitting right there. As a matter of fact, let's zoom in on it. Look at that. There are little structures around it, almost like tents or Quonset huts, cylinders. I see them back to the right. It looks like a machine shed made with tent material. But look at that square building. I mean, how perfectly square do you have to be before someone says, that ain't natural? It's got protuberances on it, and it appears to have some kind of glass dome on the top. Very strange. Let's look at another one. So tell me what you see in this image. If you were scanning this for anomalies, I'll be honest with you, I'd pass it over. I see that right angle towards the center of the image, but then, I'd say, yeah, not so much. I mean, we say things like that and we don't get really excited about them anymore. But now, thanks to the Allan Walker wizardry, here's what's actually there. That is a structure, my friends. Look at the T-cross up there, the deep walls, the pathway that comes down and then hooks right at the bottom and curves down to the lower level. And there's all kinds of other stuff in there. Again, I haven't finished compositing or pulling out everything that I want to show you here. But you get the idea, right? I mean, this is really amazing. And yes, you're absolutely right, Ricardo. That one image definitely shows signs of an organized settlement. Anyway, there's still other things to look at, but I just want to take a little break and thank you guys for, just showing up. That's very cool. And I kind of think of myself as a minnow in a gigantic ocean of YouTube stars and other anomalists who are much more firmly established than I am, and deservedly so. And but I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and one of these days it'll get some notice. Meanwhile, the notice that you're giving me, I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much, and it keeps me going. It really does. I think about what would Don like to see, or Planetary Protector, or Alan, or Ricardo. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for you. I'm selfish. I'll admit it. This is my passion project, and I love doing this stuff. Otherwise, I'd never devote 40 hours plus a week. And sometimes irritates my wife a little bit, but she's a concert pianist, and she's practicing. She's doing some concerts overseas, and so she's real busy practicing. So she understands what it's like to be wrapped up and focused in a creative urge. And she is a wonderful person and musician. I'm very privileged to know her. That's very nice of you, Rusty. Thank you very much. Why don't we get back to where we were, if I can find it in my list of stuff. There it is. Is that it? No. Is that it? It's funny because I gotta pick. Here we go. You ready? Okay, now this is a pretty far shot. And really the only thing that kind of catches my attention in this image are those, see right in the center of the image, there's two kind of parallel sand dunes that kind of make a right angle with a line of rocks going off to the left side. Ultra Vibes is here. Good to see you, man. Thanks for showing up. Throw that quarter in the can. And here we go. We're going to strip away everything on 3, 2, 1. That looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Look at the structures. Look at the walls. Look at all the anomalies in here. I haven't even begun to mark them all out. I will, but if you go, I'll talk you through it when I can. Thank you, Ian. I really do appreciate your comment. I love doing this, man. Okay, as you're viewing in X3D, go to the exact center of the image. Then go about halfway to the right, and you'll see a big square thing with spheres along the edges. Then another layer, and then another layer with an opening in it. What is that? And as you look around the image, you'll see structures and pillars and walls And, well, you know, if you look at this on the big screen, it'll blow your mind. And you're right, Martin. Everywhere we have sent a probe, we have found evidence of intelligent life. Everywhere. Every asteroid, every comet, every moon, and every planet. Okay, and just about at the end of the line here, we'll go back through them again so you can see them all if you came late. But here again, now, as you look at this, it's completely amorphous, isn't it? In fact, as some of you may find a little hard to do in X3D because there's nothing to key off of. And of course, when I finish this, I'll bring out the contrast and bump it up a little bit and make it much more visually appealing than it is without falsifying anything. But you know, it's about giving you things that are fun to look at in 3D. Not just look at a blank wall like this one. But I'm here to reiterate my stance of pixel integrity. I never present anything that isn't actually there in the pixels. I never falsify. I never make an image make like I think it should be or I want it to be, or maybe I'll get more clicks if I make it look like a statue. That's not where I'm coming from on this. I want the truth. I think you do too, don't you? I mean, you're weird. And you're right, Ricardo. Hoagland has been right for 40 plus years, while the scientific community excommunicated him and hooted and howled at his allegations. But by golly, he was right. Okay, anyway. Now, look at this whitewash here, and now we're going to strip it away. Holy moly. There's an entire settlement there. Let your eyes work around the image. You'll see pipes coming out. You'll see square buildings. You'll see walls. You'll see corners. You'll see structures. You'll see that thing coming down the middle there, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. Is it a sluice for gold? I don't know. And you know, in a lot of these images, we're seeing what look like roads as well. They may not be. But this to me is amazing. Because if you believe NASA, this stuff isn't there. It doesn't exist. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are UFO fanatics. I always get tickled at that. 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, one of my anomalies from, I think it was an OPI, I have it somewhere, was picked up by Huffington Post, Europe. And they published it. They used my image. And, but the whole article was about UFO fanatics claim they have found this or that. I said, no. We're not UFO fanatics. We might believe in them. And many of us have actually seen them. But that's not what we're doing. We're looking for signs of, well, we're looking for archaeological treasures. That's what we're doing. Not UFOs. If we find a UFO, that's cool. We'll take it. And I found more than a couple. And Tony is asking the question, what distance would you say this is away from the camera? And Tony, here's the problem with that. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up again for you. This is quite some distance from the camera. This is up on the side of the mountain. This is like, I would say at a very minimum 2 to 3 kilometers away. The problem is they don't have any metrics available to my knowledge yet, on Percy, because even though they're using stereo masked cams, which provide the z-axis and allow for metric analysis, I haven't seen any metrics published. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I just haven't been to the right place. But for now, we have to take an image. For example, this image, the panorama that I took it from was this. And this is a huge image that covers 15 panels. It's several gigs worth of stuff that Allan sent me. And again, this is Allan's research. Allan has developed this process. I rooted out the anomalies and processed them into X3D for you. But this is something that Allan has discovered. And so Allan is saying it's 800 meters high and a few miles away, 700 meters and a few miles away. Good way to mix metrics there, pal. So this thing is plenty big, long ways. Here it is again. Long ways, a couple miles away. And isn't it interesting? Now, this is several miles away, yet it's really clear, isn't it? It's nice and sharp. They have fantastic cameras on those rovers, and especially on Percy. And they do just fine taking high-res images. But then they guck them all up like this. This is that image. This is what they put over it. Nothing to see here, folks. Keep moving. Y'all shut up. Go watch your videos, play your video games. Sit down and shut up. Because this is what they're seeing at NASA. And they're seeing it in color. And Allan, I should explain something. The reason I haven't used, I did compare the sepia tone version you sent me and isolated a few of the anomalies that I'd found and compared them. And with my inadequate eyes, I wasn't really able to see enough of a difference to warrant starting over again. Now, I may apply a sepia tone wash to this when I get ready to publish it, a video. I don't know. And so I hope you're not offended by that. And it does look like a gear cog, doesn't it, Tony? Except these are huge structures. These are huge. They cover a hillside miles away. So it's like looking at the Great Wall of China, maybe, from, several miles away. These are big structures. And Allan, that's very exciting that your process works on all NASA images. Dang, buddy, I need to learn how to do that. I hope you're going to make a tutorial, because the thing is, if we all start doing this, NASA's going to go nuts. They're going to go stark raving mad. And here's the first thing that'll happen, is that they'll hire trolls like they do to come and poo-poo everything and say it's all junk, it's just rocks, and this is illegitimate, and it yada, 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 yada. And then when that doesn't work, they take your channel down. Now, I guess I've joined the elite team here. Over on Facebook, they are screwing with my MarsX3D site like crazy. They've unapproved all my approved posters. When I approve them, they don't stay approved. And I've approved several today, 3 and 4 times. And stuff is disappearing, and they're jacking with my ability to share. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So anyway, let's take a run through the images again. For those of you who were a little late coming in, I demonstrated Allan's process, by showing you a panorama, a section of a panorama. This is a small section of the panorama from Percy 128. And this is what NASA shows us. And Ricardo, unfortunately, you may be right. They'll find another way to bollocks up the images. But here's what they post, and here's what Allan finds with this process. Strips away everything. Very cool. So, that said, let's take a run back through things. We know that, by the way, just a quick mic check. You guys hear me okay, right? I hope. And so here's what we get on the servers, and here's what's there. Definitely looking mechanical. And like I said, these are about 3/5 of the way finished. I haven't cleaned them up, sharpened them, formatted them, isolated all the other anomalies, done all that stuff. It was all I could do to get these things done. Okay, thank you, Don. Loud and cleared. 5x5. And so here's another little treasure from NASA Caltech. Thank you, Ian. Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You can hear me. Here they are. And, I do admire those guys. They do a fantastic job. But whoever is managing the agenda, they're the ones responsible for what you see in this image. And Allan is responsible for what you see in the same image with all the crap removed. Isn't that cool? Look at all those devices and structures. Now, when I do the video, and that's gonna air a week from this Friday, probably. All these things will be zoomed and highlighted, and it'll look good. And so here's another one, and as I mentioned earlier, if I came across this in a gigapan, I'd pretty much ignore it. There's not much to see here. There's a right angle there in the on the left side of that boulder. That could be natural. Who knows? But here's what's actually there. Now, that looks to me like a crumpled, wadded up machine, kind of. Let me just run through that again. Look, while you're looking at this in X3D, there's the original. Okay? Let your eyes wander around the image. See what you can see. And that's what's actually there. Very cool, Allan. Very cool. And down there in the left corner is that little round rock sitting just above that white boulder. I was fascinated by that because it has a square opening on top, but it kind of looks like a shoe, almost, although it's far bigger than a shoe. It's probably several feet long. Got all those knobs, and it's got that little round thing in the square. And, of course, someone will say, well, it's a Martian. Well, maybe it is. But I kind of doubt it. And yet another one. And the reason I like this one so much is because they've really gone overboard. Now that I know what to look for, see how the sand is kind of pinkish and then it butts up against the bluish sand? And they've put those layers of luminance and obfuscation, opaque, semi-opaque layers. I don't know how many layers are there. Allan could tell us. Probably, but it's things covered up. But take a look at that. That's what's there. Okay? I'll do that again. Let's go back. That's what they show us. And that's what's there. And we're going to take a up-close look at that business in the lower right, left-hand corner, and the one in the upper right corner near, and then a little cube up there on the left. Can anyone say jet engine? And yeah, there are anomalies everywhere in these images, Ricardo. I mean, they're literally loaded. What NASA has captured is an absolutely destroyed civilization. There's structures and machines and buildings and devices of all kind everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And they're working overtime to cover that stuff up. Don't you know? Then remember, in the upper right-hand corner, there was this thing. Is that a rock? It's okay with me if you call it a rock. I don't think I will. Then in that upper left corner, that neat little cube. And does that look manufactured? Looks like it's made of rivets. A boilerplate. It looks like a steampunk television. It's got the screen on the left side, and it's all riveted together. And that's a really interesting device. And off to the right at the 4 o'clock position, some more strangeness. And trust me, Don, I have spent hours looking at these. And I still haven't mined out all the things. I narrowed it down. I sent a bunch of JPEGs to Alan of the anomalies that I'd found. And there were 33 of them. Now I've whittled that down to 24. And by the time it gets to the video, I'll have whittled it down even more, which I hate to do, but I don't want the videos to run forever. And yeah, Don, and in fact, all of you, there's about a 30 to 45 second delay between what I'm putting on the screen and when you're seeing it and when you're hearing my voice. So when you see the previous photo, when you say something like the previous photo, I have no idea which one you're talking about. That's already gone by. So it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just that I don't know which one you're referring to. I look forward to that video, Alan, and thank you, Alan, on the processing comment. I appreciate it. Yeah, I see airfoils all the time, as if there were crashed aircraft or maybe hydrofoil watercraft. I don't know. But Alan, what we need to do is get together on Zoom, and I'll take you through the process for creating a legitimate stereo pair from a 2D picture. It's kind of involved. And it's taken me now several years to get to the point where I can present what are mostly authentic. I mean, 97% authentic stereo pictures. Thank you, Alan. Well, you found all of this, man. It wasn't me. And Martin, yeah, you'll enjoy the Jimmy Roberts interview. There are even 4 images of UFOs that he took pictures of. He knows a place to go where he lives down there in Texas on any given night where he can photograph UFOs. And he ain't kidding. They're in color. And yeah, Ricardo, I agree with you. That, some of these things do look like fractured fuselages. And you'll find out some interesting things. You'll find out why Jimmy has started another channel, The World of UFOs Official. There'll be links under the video, of course. But Ginny is keyed in ways that I'm not. I mean, I used to work for the government, but I haven't kept up my contacts there for whatever reason. And he's young enough and still hooked into where he came from that he gets some very significant inside baseball help from people who are in positions of power. Yeah, Lubbock, Ricardo, the Lubbock Lights. And, of course, they came back. Project Blue Book said, no, that was a flock of Canadian geese flying over in a V formation, and their downy breasts were reflecting the streetlights of the city. Well, thank you, fellas. No wonder Blue Book went belly up. Okay, take a look at this one. You have been looking at it for some time now. My apologies. But now let's show you what's actually there. Wow. There's tons of stuff here. We're going to zoom in on that obvious building right in the center. And there it is. You can see the right angles and the walls and the pillars and the curved tents and the structure in back to the right and other structures and the rectangular structure off in the background on the left. And I mean, come on. This stuff is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. I mean, I could easily spend the next several weeks. And Tony, I'll be honest with you. I have not looked at the video yet. Not because I don't want to. I've been slammed, absolutely slammed. Well, some of you may know that I'm a so-called expert in the restoration of historic stained glass, and I spent many, many years restoring church windows all over the country. And I sold my studio at a commercial glass studio. Because my hands were completely given out. Too much martial arts, too much playing bass for too many decades. And the carpal tunnel shut me down. Well, strangely enough, once I made the decision to get my hands operated on finally and get that cleared up, I inherited an entire glass studio from someone who passed away. So I've been running down to Cape Cod and loading up trucks and vans and moving the stuff up to the Sunrise Command where I'm building a studio in the basement. And it's been busy. Well, a lot of other things too. I won't bore you with details. But so I've been really, really busy, Tony, and I desperately want to catch up on the images you all have sent me and the video, Tony, that you sent me. And I promise I will look at it. And Alan's talking about not getting sleep. Tell me about it. Hey, Crazy. Hey, where you been, brother? Holy moly. Nice to have you in the house. In honor of your long-time absence and late appearance, you get to pick a Twizzler from the can by the door. Anyway, there are a lot of things in this picture. And one of the things that I highlighted was this weird little square deal with a dome on top. And I got the aspect ratio wrong on this, but because it kind of mashes when I go in. But there it is without the highlighting. And here's another one. This is in that same picture we were looking at. Interesting little cylindrical device sitting in the sand. Here it is without the coloring. And, yeah, the Logitech webcam. It's my friend. You know, it's not a real expensive camera, but I think it does a great job. You know, it's hard for a camera to do justice to my innate radiant beauty that stuns and amazes most people. Mostly me, actually. But here's another one of a section from Allan's pan. And there are a couple items in here that might be something. You know, I see a square over there on the right, some rectangles, and a round rock with a bunch of eyes on it on the left. There's some interesting stuff in this photo, but let's take a look at what's actually there. Now, most of you who don't do this for a living, yeah, right, a living. I don't do this for a living, but I do it full time. You probably won't see what's there, so let's zoom in on it. It's kind of like a submarine tucked under a little square awning. Isn't that weird? Here it is without the color. Yeah, I love the stained glass Martin. I got into it many decades ago because I realized as a musician I was only as good as my last note or whatever recordings I did. And I wanted to do something more permanent. They're basically my gravestones. Not to sound macabre or anything. It's just that those will be here for 1,000 years after I'm gone. You know, bringing some beauty into people's lives, and it's worth it. Okay. And here's another one that doesn't look like much until you strip away all the garbage. And you might think, well, I don't see what you're talking about. Well, okay. How about all these roads exactly parallel and making 90-degree turns? What are we supposed to do about those? Oh, Granny, you made it finally. Well, I'm glad you made it at all. It's always good to have you in the house. And so you didn't really notice the roads, but did you notice this big square building? Perfectly square building with a dome on top, and tents and other structures all around it, in front and back, and going up the road on the left, more smaller structures. And see how that one road goes to the upper right-hand corner, and there's another something up there? Is it a tent? Is it a building? Is it a... I don't know what it is. It's okay, Granny, if you're late. I'm just glad you're here. And another washed out bit of NASA Caltech JPL work that doesn't look like anything until you whisk away all the garbage on top. And suddenly there's an entire settlement there, a huge structure. Now this is at the mountaintop. This is miles away. So this is huge. But look at that. See where it crosses as a T? Now come down the mountain on that road. It comes down and makes an abrupt left turn, another left turn, and then it curves down to the next level down. You know, like they have in mining operations. That to me is amazing. Yeah, I don't know, Tony. That might be a roof collapse. I kind of got the impression the roof was in place and had a dome on top, but you know, I see what I see. You see what you see. Who knows? The truth is somewhere in between, isn't it? Excuse me. And so we have yet another NASA image And as I pointed out earlier, all I really see are those parallel lines right in the middle. And at first glance, you'd say, oh, that's just sand. That's just sand. Well, no, not so much. It's actually a building. And there are all kinds of structures and anomalies all around it. And again, if you're just now showing up, all of these images you're looking at are only 3/5 finished. I haven't done the absolute final processing on them with fusion dots and labeling and data bar and copyright and sharpening and tweaking, playing with the exposure a little bit, all that stuff to make them real eye candy, really pop. And it's funny how things are so different in X3D. In any 3D, you process the images differently in order to more closely approximate what the eye would actually see. Okay, Ricardo. It's funny. Almost between a rock and a hard place, and quite literally here, right? Okay, and we'll wrap things up with this final mountainside that you're looking at that you can hardly see in 3D because there's nothing there until you do this. This is miles away, folks. These are huge structures. Let your eyes play around in this image. There is a lot to see. Go from one corner and go up your borders and around and across and through. Now, here's something I didn't point out. Hey, Lee. You made it just in time. Glad you made it at all. I appreciate you showing up. And I'm open to ideas about maybe a different time to do the live hangs so that our people in Europe and other countries can join us a little easier. I just know that 6:30 is 5:30 in the Midwest when people get off work. And you're right, Granny. They hit all those underground tunnels. Good night, Tony. Thank you for coming by. Glad to see you. Anyway, I didn't point this out, but look at the exact center of this image, near the top of that left-hand arm of that sprocketed building, whatever it is. And if you look slanting down from that carved into the face are what appear to be steps. Do you see them? Now I'll circle these in the final version, and I'll point everything out in the final version. But I just wondered if maybe some of you saw those steps. Oh, thank you, Lee. Yeah, folks, if you don't mind, if you slap a thumbs up on there on your way out the door, I sure would appreciate it. Because that's what keeps me going. You know, the algorithms here on YouTube. YouTube is fixing to shut us down. They've been messing with Jimmy. They messed with Allan. They mess with everybody in one form or another. But and we actually talk about this in the interview coming up on Friday with Jimmy Roberts, how they use the algorithms to kind of punch us out of the game. Jimmy was getting, back in the heyday, 300 or 400 new subs a day on his channel. And all of a sudden they changed the algorithms and it dropped to 0. And the same thing happened to me. I'm just a little guy. I got a little tiny channel, a couple thousand people, and I'm mighty glad to have them because they're all quality folks. Proud weirdos, right? And but I went from a steady stream of about 100 people a month down to 1 or 2. And it's odd, though, because the people who come on board are generally extremely enthusiastic about learning X3D and being able to do it and being able to see these anomalies right in front of them in 3D. And Lee, you are right. They are afraid of the truth. They definitely are afraid of the truth. So my friends, it's that time again. I got a lot of work to do. I'm headed up to the Sunrise Command. I got to unload an entire glass studio, or at least half of a glass studio, into the basement. And, oh man, it's good discipline. But I'll be wrapped up for the next 3 or 4 days. And when all I really want to do is work on these images and work with Allan on this new process. But I want to thank you for stopping by. It means the world to me that you choose to spend a little time with your old buddy Dave and be a member of not only this channel, but to be a proud weirdo. You know who you are. Anyway, we're going to call it a night. Thank you so much. And I will see you. Oh, don't forget to see the video, the interview with Jimmy on Friday. It's a good one. And then I'll see you next Tuesday night. And hopefully I have a bunch of new stuff to report. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.